Hello and welcome inside the Xfinity Center for the Big Ten home first meet of the season alongside Nikki Dragon. I'm Matt Present. The Maryland Terrapins and the Iowa Hawkeyes today in a meet that features a lot of pink. Both teams honoring breast cancer, trying to raise awareness. You and I doing the same. Your scarf, my shirt. And these gymnasts from top to bottom dressed in pink.
This is a big meet for the two Big Ten teams here today. This is Maryland's first big team dual home opener, so it's going to be a big day.
Iowa coming off a big upset win over Ohio State, the 24th ranked Buckeyes a week ago, 196.375 to 195.025, a very close one. And the Terps fell on the road to Minnesota on January the 16th. Their match last weekend against Penn State postponed due to the snow. That'll be rescheduled and made up on Monday, February 22nd. But today, it's the Hawkeyes that the Terps will have to deal with, and they're led by Coach Larissa Libby in her 12th season. She had some pretty interesting, pretty profound words pregame when I was talking to her. We'll get to that a little bit later. But how about the Terps and Brett Nelligan? What did he have to say to his team prior to today's match?
Well, he's really been focusing on keeping a positive attitude, especially with having that last meet canceled. It gave the Terps some extra time in the gym to perfect those routines. So they're really trying to come in here with a good mindset today and trying to beat Iowa.
We're just about set to go here from the Xfinity Center. Maryland will begin on the vault. Iowa will begin on bars. You're looking at Karen Tang right now, an all-arounder and a senior anchor for the Terps. She's from Massachusetts and really a veteran that leads this team.
Kat is one of the captains this year, and she's following in her sister Karen Tang's footsteps, so she's looking to have a big year here, maybe set some school records.
She's posted an all-around score of 39.375 in her career to lead this Maryland squad. So she does it both statistically and with the way she carries herself for this Terrapin team. We get a 4-minute warm-up period as you see each team getting loose and ready for this Big Ten home opener. The crowd has filed in as well, and there were some younger, maybe future Terps as well out here earlier.
We have a lot of girls here that come to the Maryland gymnastics camps, and they're in the Junior Gym Terps program, so they get to do a lot of activities with the Maryland gymnastics team. They come to camps, they get to do some activities and events before and after meets, so it's great for them to look up to these girls.
Certainly a special treat for them, and it kind of goes back to what head coach Brett Nelligan was telling me before today's meet, and that is how he's kind of built up this program, the environment, the atmosphere, and certainly a lot of that has to be the interactivity with not only fans but the younger kids who are really into gymnastics.
Yeah, definitely. Brett really is big on bringing those girls into camps and having an interactive environment with them, and that sets the tone for the team.
You're looking at him right there. He's in his 7th year as head coach here at Maryland, 12th with the team, following in the footsteps of his father, Bob Nelligan, who is head coach here for 31 years, and we hope to have him on with us a little bit later in today's match. But Bob absolutely put this program on a map. We'll detail a little bit later all of his accomplishments, but a really big name, not only nationwide but worldwide in this gymnastics community.
Absolutely. Maryland has really come up on the map in the last couple years, and Brett does a great job of getting their name out even more than it already is.
About a minute 30 away from the start of this match. And what are you looking for from Maryland to kick things off on the vault?
The most important thing about vault would be the explosiveness and the landings. The landings are key to getting a good score, so that's something that I know Maryland has been working on, so hopefully they can execute it well today.
Of course, there are different difficulties that these gymnasts can choose to go with on the vault. You'll, I assume, get more into that as we go, but is it kind of the order in which they go? Is there an anchor to this vault?
The anchor on vault is usually the most explosive, generally the most difficult vault that they will put up. And recently there was a score change, so the Yurchenko layout full, which generally all of college gymnasts do, now starts at a 9.95 instead of a 10.0. So that's why it's really key to focus on the height and the landings and keeping good form to make sure you get those big scores.
We'll be sure to keep an eye on that. Abby Epperson is the anchor for the Terps on vault. And for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Maria Ortiz will anchor on the uneven bars. All right, and we are ready to go. Sarah Fowler doing her final preparations. She will vault first for the Terps. The junior from Raleigh, North Carolina, you're looking at her now. One last smile, and she's ready to go. And a clean landing there for Sarah Fowler.
That was a great vault for Sarah. You see some nice height off the table. The only deduction would be a little split in the legs and a small hop on the landing, but that's a great start for Maryland.
So she gets the team off on the right foot, and now we'll head out to the bars. Misty Jade Carlson for the Hawkeyes.
Now on bars, we're really looking for those straight handstands at 12 o'clock on top of the bar. Nice Jaeger release move into a beautiful connection there. Now she's winding up for her dismount. Beautiful stuck landing there.
Well done for the freshman from Portland, Oregon. She finished first in nearly every event at regionals in high school and the state tournament as well in Oregon. And fun fact, she was homeschooled, so a little more time there to devote to the training. Emily Brockmiller up for the Terps. Junior from Auburndale, Florida.
Emily actually has a 10.0 start value on vault because she does what's called a pike full. So she starts in the same position as the layout, but then you'll see her pike down more as opposed to having the straight body. That was a great vault for Emily, a little off-centered, so she might get a little deduction on that, but overall, a nice vault.
She got the left side of the vault, but it seemed like she was able to recover with her feet and keep her balance at the end. Angel Metcalf on the bars now for the Hawkeyes. An all-arounder. One of 3 Hawkeyes named to the 2015 All-Championship team.
That was a beautiful E dismount, so that brings her start value up. You can see that the team has a lot of energy. They're really excited about that routine.
Metcalf pumped up after that one, and now we'll head back to vault and Evelyn Nee for the Terps.
Evelyn's really going to be a strong competitor for the Maryland Terrapins this year, so let's see how she does on vault.
Evelyn getting set. 5'3" sophomore from nearby Vienna, Virginia. We're actually going to head back out to the bars. Iowa was on the bars, but knee will go anyway.
Good landing for Evelyn. Chest was a little low, but other than that, that was a pretty strong vault.
Iowa went early on the bars. It was Molly Dirth just landing her.
Iowa's executing some really strong landings over there, so that's definitely something the judges look for and is going to bump their scores up a lot.
A little premature though on their start over there though.
Yeah, there was a little bit of delay on vault with the judges. Sometimes that happens and you just have to be able to adapt to that.
Macy Roberts now will vault for Maryland.
That was a huge vault for Maryland. Macy's only a freshman, so it's awesome to see someone like that coming in and being such a strong competitor for the Terps.
A 3-time state championship in high school, and it really looked like she had a powerful run up there.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's going to drive that score up. You could see how high she got in the air, and that was a good controlled landing.
Allie Glover now on the uneven bars.
She has a nice swing in between her connections, really keeps her routine moving. Just winding up for her dismount. Huge double layout.
And she
Great
does
landing.
it nicely.
Just a little hop forward, but other than that, there won't be much deduction in that routine.
Now the aforementioned Kathy Tang to anchor this vault for Maryland. Deep breath, and she's off.
That was a great vault for Kathy. You could see the distance she got off the table, and that's really something that the judges look for, as well as the height in the air. So that should be a big score for Maryland. She's pretty excited about that.
One more vault, or I should say bar routine in this first set for Iowa. Maria Ortiz. Ortiz, a freshman from Fort Myers, Florida.
That's great that they have a freshman anchoring, so this should be a pretty good routine. Nice handstand.
Those handstands, something you said the judges really look at on these uneven bars.
Definitely, that's a key component to the score. Iowa just had another great routine. Their bar lineup looked really, really awesome this year, and you can see they're very, very excited about how they did.
1 through 5 all looked really good on the bars for the Hawkeyes. So now Abby Epperson will take her turn on vault. A little slip on the landing.
Looks like she might have hurt her knee there. She landed a little lock-legged. Hope she's okay. That's always a rough thing to see when these gymnasts work so hard and then something like that happens in a competition.
You could see her wince as soon as she landed, and the Maryland team to our right is all surrounding her as she gets checked out.
She's with the trainer over there. Hopefully she's okay. Now this is an exhibition routine on bars, so this is the 7th routine they will put up, but the score will not count. It's more of just so an extra gymnast can get some practice being in the lineup without having the pressure of having to hit that routine. That was another awesome routine from Iowa. That dismount is an E dismount. Again, they're really putting up the difficulty here.
One more look at Abby Epperson. Try to get a shot of what they're looking at.
The landing that she did was actually a blind landing, so there is a risk of injury and locking your knee out with that. And that's a risk that gymnasts sometimes take for a higher start value.
It does look like they're looking at that right knee, trying to stretch it out, massage it a little bit. So now, second time around on the bars for the Hawkeyes. Misty Jade Carlson.
She didn't quite get that handstand there, but a great release. Little close to the bar there, but she kept it going. Nice double layout dismount. You can tell that's something that Iowa really focuses on is the landings. They generally stick them or take a small hop, which is really something that the judges look for.
One more shot of Epperson there, able to walk under her own power, so that at the minimum is good news for the Terps. So Maryland will head across the way to the bars. Iowa will come right in front of us to the vault. There's a look at Coach Larissa Libby inside that huddle, trying to urge her team on. 7 postseason bursts in the last 8 years for Iowa. Look at the crowd here inside Xfinity Center. They got the memo. It's all pink today. The Terps wearing their specialty pink uniforms with a ribbon across the front. As you see the Terps chalking up, getting ready for the bars. Nikki, I'll ask you, how much when you're in the air and going through your routine, how much of it is you're looking at the bars and how much when you're going for that connection is it just feel?
For the most part, it's definitely feeling it and feeling the setup of your skills. You don't necessarily always see the bar on a lot of the skills, and coaches really stress having cue words that you say to yourself so you really hit that timing right. Looks like Abby Epperson is okay to do bars. We see her putting her grips on there.
And what is the injury protocol in matches like these?
It's usually up to how the gymnast reports feeling to the trainer, and they just go from there.
But Maryland is free to sub in anyone.
So that's why teams put up an exhibition routine, so in case something does happen, you have someone who's already warmed up and prepared to go. So they would just go into the lineup instead of being in that 7th exhibition spot.
A slow-mo look at the Terps on the vault there. And here's a look back at Iowa on the bars. Coach is pumped up.
Something about Iowa that you'll really notice is that they're a very energetic team, always cheering, very loud. The coaches really get into it, and that's definitely something that's contagious among routines, which we really saw in that bar lineup they put up.
Iowa has a large team this season, 22 on the roster, and Coach Libby was telling me before today's meet that it's a shame that they're only able to travel 15 because of that camaraderie, because of that energy. They're leaving a piece of their personality at home.
Yeah, that's definitely hard, but that is a Big Ten rule. You can only travel 15, so that's hard to go into a competition arena when you're used to practicing with 22 girls. Now you only have 15. That's definitely going to be an obstacle for a team to overcome.
The NCAA provides 12 scholarships out of those 15 roster spots. But Libby also told me that several of these Hawkeyes not on scholarship are actually the ones doing the best in their routines.
That's something that's really great about college gymnastics is that if you work hard in the gym and you get your routines done and you get the skills that you need to do, you're going to be in lineup. It's a very, very competitive environment, and there's a lot of chances for all the athletes on the roster to get in and start competing.
Final words here from Brett Nelligan as the Terps prepare for the bars.
Something that Brett is really stressing this year is for Maryland to stay in their bubble when they're competing. So that means not focusing on the scores, not focusing on the other team, just being in the moment and really supporting their teammates and building on routine after routine.
Misty Jade Carlson on the vault.
That was a great start-off vault for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and that is the 9.95 start value, which that is the layout full we were talking about before that got reduced from a 10.0.
So with that reduction, are we seeing overall scores down a little bit for teams across the NCAA?
Actually, surprisingly, a lot of schools are putting up harder vaults now. They're really striving to get those vaults that start at a 10.0, so that would be a full and a half. So what that vault you just saw plus an extra half twist, and there's a couple other variations of vaults that do start at a 10.0. So I would say there's more of an increase in difficulty on vault.
Lainey Snyder, I should say Sarah Fowler rather, for the Terps.
Sarah has been the anchor on bars for 3 years now, so she's really a solid competitor to start off. You want to look for someone who's super consistent in their routines to get the lineup started off right. Beautiful handstand there.
She's posted a 9.825 already this season.
Small step forward on that landing, but other than that, that was a great start for the Terps.
That'll be Angel Metcalf for the Hawkeyes.
Wow, that was a beautiful vault for them. You could see how she really set up that layout before she twisted and finished with a solid landing.
Pretty good height as well for Metcalf. And the landing so far, both on bars and vault, very impressive for the Hawkeyes. As you look at the first rotation scores, Iowa the early edge.
That's a huge score for Iowa on bars, counting all 9.8s or higher. You can definitely credit those scores to their landings and handstands.
Kathy Tang leading the Terps on the vault. No surprise there. Megan McClellan now on the bars.
Megan is a freshman for the Terrapins, so it's great to get a new face out there, give her some exposure in the lineup. Good release move there.
She's done bars, beam, and floor in her freshman year already.
Now Megan does a double layout dismount. Let's see how she goes. Great dismount, awesome landing. You could see that her feet did not move, so that is a stuck landing.
Now it's Molly Drenth for Iowa.
Great vault for Molly there. She had a pretty big hop forward, but other than that, not much deduction. Now that was a Yurchenko half, so that vault can sometimes start at a 10.0 if you finish in a layout position. She wasn't quite laid out, so she'll probably get the 9.95 start value.
Abby Epperson now for Maryland. Talking through her routine with the head man, Brad Nelligan.
She had a little bit of a scare on vault there, so hopefully she can shake that off and not let it carry over onto bars. So let's see how she does here.
It was the right knee that had her wincing a bit at the end.
Good Jaeger release move there for Abby. Nice shoot over. She finished right in that handstand. Hitting that handstand right before the dismount. Nice double layout finish, small hop back. She's definitely pretty excited about that, especially after that vault.
And no signs of ill effects from the knee on that landing either.
Can see a sign of relief in her face there.
Allie Glover now for Iowa.
Pretty good pull there. Small pike down on the landing, but she really controlled that landing. Can see that Iowa is a super energetic team. They all run down the runway to high five their teammates after their vaults.
A really tight-knit group. You can see it shining through. And Larissa Libby was praising her team. This Iowa team has really shuffled their starting lineups quite a bit in the early season. And at times, Libby says it's almost like they're fighting for their job every practice, but they've stayed together nonetheless. Evelyn Nee now for Maryland.
Evelyn has a great bar routine. She has a lot of difficult skills packed into it. The first one coming up here, Jaeger release. Can tell she held on to that by her fingertips. Great pack salto. Now she's gearing up for her dismount. Evelyn does a full in. Can see the coach trying to get the crowd pumped up. Great routine for Evelyn. Super excited about that, as is the team.
Couple fans in the crowd holding up number 10. She should be pretty close. Rose Purkowski now for Iowa.
Another one of those layout halves. That would be a 10.0 start value. So you could see they're taking a risk again with that blind landing, but paid off for her.
Impressive to have a freshman go with a blind landing early on in the season. Purkowski from Panama City, Florida. Now Amanda Bordarello for Maryland.
Amanda's a freshman on the Maryland team. This is her first time competing in the bar lineup, so let's see how she does here. That was a huge pack salto. She really got a high up in the air there. Now here Amanda does a blind full right into a Tkachev, which is a huge connection. Unfortunately, she missed that release move, so that is a 5/10 deduction. It's always tough to get back up onto the bar after you fall, but she really has her teammates behind her cheering her on there. She finished that routine with a nice full in, small step back, but good finish after that fall.
It's like a very challenging routine overall.
That is one of the more difficult routines that Maryland puts up.
Maria Ortiz now, the last one to vault for Iowa.
Nice vault there. She was pretty high in the air, good distance. A little uncontrolled on the landing, but other than that, it was a good vault.
Bit of an interesting hop step almost that she took at the beginning of her run up.
Yeah, different gymnasts you'll see have different entries into their vault. It's just what you're more comfortable doing to generate the most speed.
So now it's Kathy Tang on bars for Maryland.
Kathy actually took the anchor spot that her sister held last year, so she's definitely following in those footsteps. Nice blind full into a beautiful shoot over, really hit that handstand. Gearing up for her dismount. Great double layout. I would say that was a stuck landing. She stepped forward right into the present, so she should probably get away with that one. Can tell she's pretty happy about that. So this is an exhibition routine on vault. She's the 7th gymnast. Again, the score will not count towards the team score.
This is Melissa Durowski getting in some practice.
That was a great vault for an exhibition routine. Hopefully she'll crack into that lineup soon.
So Alex Robinson will be the exhibitionist for Maryland on the bars. She struggled a little bit on bars earlier this season. Coach Nelligan took her out of the starting lineup and now wants to get her the practice to hopefully get her confidence back to where she can re-enter the starting lineup.
The good thing about the exhibition spot is that you don't have that pressure on you, so it's a really good opportunity for a gymnast to get some practice.
Robinson, a freshman from Centennial, Colorado.
Difficult connection there. She pulled it off pretty well. That was the move she's been struggling with, and she did it pretty well this meet, so hopefully that builds her confidence up.
Coach Nelligan was also telling me that part of building that confidence are these pressure sets late in the week of practice and these team events that Maryland does. And you're with the team quite often. You see those. What atmosphere is that like?
So team events are essentially a mock meet where you put up lineups and the whole team crowds around the event and puts some pressure on you, and it's just to get you in that mindset of being in this big arena and it being loud and things that could possibly break your focus. So it's really to practice that and just get some more experience with those pressure routines.
Nothing wrong with some healthy, friendly competition.
Exactly.
High fives all around for Maryland there on the bars. And a fist pump as well from Brett Nelligan. And how about Brett? What is it like being around that energy?
Brett really loves that energy. That's something he really tries to bring out in the team, and he definitely sets an example with his actions and how he wants the team to respond.
He certainly looks like he has fun coaching as much as these gymnasts have fun doing their routines.
He definitely does. Brett was a gymnast in college and was an assistant coach under his dad at Maryland, so he's pretty much grown up around this sport.
We mentioned earlier his dad hopefully will be joining us in a little while. Coached 31 years here at Maryland, but Brett says it's not just his dad, but a gymnastics family. His uncle Peter Horman won a bronze medal in the '76 Montreal Olympics. And his aunt and his mother did gymnastics as well. So no shortage of experience for Nelligan. If you're just joining us alongside Nikki Dragon, I'm Matt Present. The home opener in the Big Ten for Maryland as they host Iowa. Maryland right now transitioning to the balance beam. The Hawkeyes head over to the floor. And they'll be starting those routines in just a couple minutes.
An advantage of being the home team is that you get to finish on floor, which is generally the highest scoring event, and a disadvantage would be that Iowa has to finish on the balance beam, which is probably the most difficult event. You really have to keep your focus, and with that being the last event, that's usually a make or break for the meet.
Maryland will try to conquer that tough test in just a moment or two, but what are your early impressions of this one?
I would say that Iowa is looking very strong. Their landings have been super clean on both vault and bars. Maryland gave up some tenths on the landings, but I would say it's pretty close, and it could be anyone's game right now.
I would certainly agree with you on the landings. Iowa really impressive, both on bars and on vault. Never taking more than a little step. So as the scores come in after the first two sessions, it is Iowa up 0.6 of a point.
That's a pretty big lead over Maryland, but like I said, anything can happen. So if Iowa ends up having to count a fall, then Maryland's right back in there.
Leading the Hawkeyes on vault was Piorkowski with a 9.80. And for the Terps, Evelyn Nee, an 9.875 on the uneven bars. That's a career record for Evelyn Nee. Previously had a 9.825, surpasses that with a 9.875, so congratulations to Evelyn.
Beginning on the floor for Iowa, Savannah Corbin. And beginning on the ballot being for Maryland, Sarah Fowler.
So Sarah Fowler will start things off for the Terps on the beam.
Like on bars, Sarah is the start-off competitor on beam because she is very consistent in her routines, and that is something that's extremely important on beam, to start off with a really strong routine to get the lineup going. You can see that Sarah has a very strong presence on the beam. She's very confident in her dance moves as well as her skills. Setting up for her series right now. A handspring layout, great finish. Great front toss connection to a wolf jump there.
Like you're saying, just so focused and so confident.
And you can tell that she's having fun with it. She's smiling a little bit here and there, and she has her chin up, is really, really showing off those dance moves. Smile there before her dismount. Nice double full dismount for Sarah. That was an awesome start for the Maryland beam lineup.
And one thing I wanted to talk to you about, Nikki, today is how it's very much an individual sport in the scoring, but watching someone in front of you can have a huge mental impact on how you follow that up.
Absolutely. I know a lot of girls, they will turn away and not watch their teammate in front of them just so they can get in the zone and not have their focus altered at all.
You've got to imagine for those watching a confident start after watching Fowler. Savannah Borman now on floor for Iowa.
Her first pass, a double pike, beautiful landing. Her second pass is a double tuck. Again, wonderful landing. You can see that Iowa really focuses on landings there. That was her leap connection. She didn't quite hit that 180-degree split.
A bit of a homecoming for Borman from nearby Chesapeake, Virginia. The junior, she transferred from Arizona State.
Taking a deep breath there before her last pass. And finishing with a 1.5 punch layout for her connection pass. That was a pretty good start. She looks a little tired, but overall great finish.
So Macy Roberts, the freshman, will take to the beam for Maryland.
Setting up for her series connection here. A handspring layout, beautiful finish. You can see that she didn't move her feet at all, so she shouldn't have any deductions on that. Straddle jump into a sheep jump. Now, a sheep jump is a pretty hard jump to do because you actually take your eyes off the beam and you tilt your head backwards. Great side skill there. That's actually an extremely difficult skill to do. And a beautiful landing. That was a phenomenal routine by Macy Roberts, the freshman from Maryland.
Really well done on the side dismount. And how does the difficulty on a side dismount like that compare to going off either end of the beam?
They have the same difficulty, it's just a matter of preference for the gymnast.
Lainey Snyder on floor now for the Hawkeyes.
Starting off with a double tuck, she went out of bounds there. It looked like both her feet went out, so that will be a 2/10 deduction. That was her connection pass, a front layout to a front full. You can see that she has a pretty strong presence in her dance. Some nice floor work there.
And you were telling me off the air before we started how the music really relates to the personality, and you can feel it on this one.
Yeah, for sure. You can see all of her teammates on the sidelines joining in with her routine there. Setting up for her last pass. Good double pike. She pulled that around. Her chest was a little low on the landing, but that was a great routine for Iowa.
Snyder did not compete as a freshman, but worked her way into the lineup this year, and not a bad routine from her. Megan McClellan now straddles the beam for Maryland.
Megan is a great beam worker. She has a lot of interesting skills like that one right there. You don't see a lot of gymnasts do a back handspring swing down like that. So that definitely keeps it interesting for the judges to see something new. Good leap connection there. Small bobble. Setting up for her series. Handspring layout. Great finish. Picked her foot up a little in the front, but other than that, that was a pretty solid series. Beautiful side aerial for the freshman. You can see that she's very confident on beam, which is a great quality to have, especially as a freshman. Setting up for her dismount here, a round off 1.5 twist. Beautiful landing, considering that's a blind landing. She did great with that.
Well done by McClelland on beam. And now an up close look at Melissa Zarowski.
Can tell right off the bat that this is going to be a fun routine. Good double pike there. Second pass was a 1.5 punch layout. Can see she's really getting into the dance choreography here.
Zarowski, a sophomore from Darien, Illinois.
Good leap connection. She's really showing off this dance well, which is something that the judges look for in addition to the tumbling. Here she goes on her third and final pass. A front handspring, front 1.5 twist. You could tell that she's very excited about that routine. Big smile on her face as she runs to her teammates.
It was almost like she was trying to hold in the excitement from that final pass and just get through the rest of the routine. You could tell she was quite pleased with that one.
Definitely.
Kathy Tang now for Maryland. Once again, an all-arounder.
Kat has done a great job of working herself into the beam lineup this year. She has really gained some confidence on this event. She goes with her series, handspring layout, beautiful finish. Switch half into a beat jump. That's a pretty difficult connection. A switch half is an E element, which is the most difficult of the gymnastics elements. Another hard skill right here. She's about to do a punch front on the beam. She's looking extremely solid. All she has left is her dismount. Small hop back. They might give her the stick on that, but overall that was a beautiful routine for Kathy Tang.
Well done for the senior from Massachusetts as we head back to the floor now. And Angel Metcalf. Metcalf leads the team in beam and all around. 7th on beam at the 2013 Junior Olympic Nationals.
Can tell that this is a very powerful routine from the music. Good opening pass there, round off double tuck. She took out the back handspring, which some gymnasts do. That gives her a little bit more of a run into the tumbling pass. Second pass. A round off 1.5 punch layout. A little low on the layout, but she saved that landing, didn't move her feet. Good leap connection there. Something that the judges look for is a 180-degree split in a leap combination on floor. Now her final pass. A round-off double pike. Beautiful landing. That's extremely impressive to be able to finish with a double pike. That really shows that you have strong endurance and a lot of confidence in your routine.
Back-to-back impressive floor routines for the Hawkeyes. And now back to beam and Evelyn Nee for Maryland.
Evelyn had a beautiful bar routine scoring a 9.875, so hopefully she can carry that on over to the beam. Sometimes it's hard for gymnasts to bring down that excitement and really stay focused on the beam, and it looks like she's doing a pretty good job. Here's her series. Back handspring layout. Now Evelyn does a 2 feet layout, which is different than what you'll usually see in the layout step out. Evelyn's looking extremely solid up there. You can really see how Maryland's building on all their routines. It really helps them keep their confidence. Great dismount for Evelyn. Small hop, but other than that, I would say that's the only deduction in that routine.
She set a career best on beam to open the season at Pittsburgh, and that one pretty good as well. Now back to the floor. And Molly Dirth. Drenth, I should say. She's an interesting story. Graduated high school early in order to join this Hawkeyes team.
Again, you can see Iowa's clean landings really carrying through on all of their events. Beautiful split there. You can see that she actually went past that 180, really showing off her flexibility.
So her senior year of high school was her freshman year of college, and then, ironically enough, went back to her high school prom after finishing off her first year with the Hawkeyes.
You can see that the Iowa team is having a lot of fun on the sidelines there as she goes into her last pass. 1.5 punch layout. Beautiful finish right into a scale. That was a gorgeous routine. Iowa should be very happy with that one.
Abby Epperson will take her turn on beam for Maryland. Sophomore from Allen, Texas.
Now Abby's in a pretty good position right now. They had 5 solid beam routines before this, so there's really no pressure on her. She goes for her series here. Handspring layout. Little bobble there. And unfortunately, she fell off the beam there. That's a 5/10 deduction, but luckily Maryland has already hit 5 great routines, so they won't have to count this routine.
Part of the luxury of going last. Like you said, no pressure here.
And her dismount. Nice side dismount there, stuck the landing. Overall, that was a really, really good lineup for beam for Maryland. They hit 5 solid routines. That should be a good score for them.
And you've got to be happy if you're Iowa as well. A really great lineup on floor as they went Metcalf, Drenth, both junior all-arounders, and now they end with the senior Allie Glover.
They definitely have an advantage putting a senior last. She's been in competition scenarios before. She knows how to handle herself. That was a beautiful double pike. You could see her chest was up really high on the landing. Can see that this is some powerful music, and she's definitely a powerful tumbler, so they're playing to that strength. Here's her second pass. A front handspring, front layout, full punch layout. That was a great connection. In the floor routine, you're required to do a 2 salto connection, so that means 2 flight elements in a row. And her last pass, double tuck, that was a huge pass. You could see the height she got on that. Definitely see why she's the anchor performer.
She's pumped up after that one, and 3 times in her 4-year career has earned a 9.90 on floor.
This is Dominika Trotter for an exhibition routine, getting some practice in. She was sidelined a little bit in the beginning of the season due to a concussion, but she's back and she's ready to go.
A season ago, competed in all 13 meets on both vault and floor, 12 on the beam as well, which is where she is right now.
Good split jump connection there. And Dominika does a little bit of a different dismount. She actually, right here, you'll see her flip backwards as she's moving forward, which is pretty difficult.
She made it look easy, though, in a confident exhibition routine for Trotter.
She did. Hopefully she can make her way into lineup soon.
So I will get a chance to do an exhibition routine here as well.
Good double tuck there. Nice landing with her chest up high. Here she goes into her second pass. Unfortunately, she fell on that, so that will be a 5/10 deduction. But that's why she's in the exhibition spot, to get some practice.
It's certainly a nice feature of gymnastics to provide the intensity of real competition without the pressure of the scores counting.
Yeah, that's definitely a benefit of competing early in the season, because once you get into those postseason meets, they don't allow exhibitions. So that's a good quality of being out there early in the season.
Of course, this is just Maryland's first home meet of the year.
Setting up for her last pass here. Double pike, her chest was a little low.
So we're 3 rotations through here at Xfinity Center. And like you mentioned just moments ago, Maryland, the home court advantage, if you will, finishing on floor.
Yes, that's definitely an advantage, and Maryland has some pretty good floor routines this year, some solid tumbling, so we'll see if they can put up a good score.
As we take a look at some meet highlights to this point.
Your gym terms will be competing against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, while Maryland Wrestling duels George Mason on the same floor at the same time. Last year we broke the gymnastics attendance record at Beauty and the Beast, and we need your help to
As they promo Beauty and the Beast in-house here, we'll do the same. That's coming up on February 14th, where gymnastics will have half of the floor and wrestling the other half. And what is that energy like? I'm sure it's a bit of a different feel.
It's definitely a little bit different than just having gymnastics, but it's a great way to get some more fans packed in here. And it's just, there's a lot more energy for Maryland being alongside of another team at Maryland, so it's a really great meet.
I believe last year was the first time they've tried that.
It was, and it was definitely a success. It was the highest recorded attendance, so they're bringing it back again this year.
So once again, if you're interested in coming out to that, it'll be February 14th at 2 p.m. And the following Monday, February 22nd, will be when the Penn State match from last weekend will be played. Great highlights from our crew here on BTN Plus. Maryland and Iowa getting set for their final routine. Maryland on floor, Iowa concluding the day on the balance beam. Alongside Nikki Dragon, I'm Matt Present. As we are almost set to wrap up the home opener for the Maryland Terrapins. Iowa, a few more matches under their belt, a couple at home. A 3-3 record on the year. Maryland 2-2 so far this season. And getting their first taste of Big Ten home action. So Iowa leading by 0.9 through 3. Once again, Kathy Tang leading the Terps, as she has done all season and for much of her 4-year career. 9-9 for Molly Drenth on the floor. That ties a career best. Or rather sets a career best. Drenth has scored as high as 39.3 in her all-around. Metcalf even better, 39.4 once in her career. So certainly dangerous having those two back-to-back.
Definitely, it's very impressive when you see college gymnasts doing all around, because gymnastics is very hard on the body, and there are a lot of girls on the team, so to gain that all-around spot is a huge advantage.
Now, in the earlier stages of their career, doing club and high school gymnastics, is pretty much everyone at that level doing an all-around if they're a college-level gymnast?
Yes, in club, you are required to do all 4 events. So you train all 4, you compete all 4, and then when you get to college, you have the opportunity to specialize in an event. If you're not as strong on a certain event, then you can really focus on the ones that are your strengths.
Head coach Larissa Libby was really stressing to me earlier about how the club dynamic is much different than the college dynamic. One, for the reason that you just mentioned, but also for the fact that at the college level, there's just so much more team importance.
Definitely. In club gymnastics, it's very individual, and your score doesn't really affect the team much. And in college, if you fall, that not only affects you, but that affects the team, and you have to count on the rest of your teammates to put up good routines.
Which once again goes back to the mental aspect that we talked about earlier. If you see your teammate fall in front of you, it's an added mental block that you have to get over during your routine as well.
Definitely, and that's the most difficult to do on the balance beam, which we're about to start right here.
This is Savannah Borman, or rather, yeah, it is Savannah Borman. Started on floor and starts on the beam as well.
Now, like I said before, beam is often the make or break event at a gymnastics meet, so let's see how Iowa does here. Gearing up for her series. A back handspring layout. That is a triple series, which you don't see a lot of college athletes do, and it's really nice to be showing off that difficulty and switch it up a little. Looks like she might have missed a connection there, so she might have to think on her feet a little bit and get one in here. She's looking pretty solid to start off the Hawkeyes. Here's her dismount. Once again, Iowa with that stuck landing.
Certainly been a theme for them on nearly every event this afternoon. Got to figure that's a point of emphasis for Larissa Libby and her squad. So Maryland will now start their floor session. Leah Slobodin.
Leah has a great floor routine. It's a lot of fun to watch. Here's her first pass. A front handspring double full. Little bobble on the landing, but other than that, that was a great start. Leah was sidelined her freshman year with an Achilles injury. You can see that her left ankle is taped there. But she's really, really trying to work her way back into this lineup.
Perhaps what's most impressive is her highest scores have come in the biggest meets. The Big Ten Championship last year, she posted her career high on the beam, and then at the NCAA tournament, her career highs on vault and floor.
She's definitely one of those gymnasts that does well under pressure, which is a great quality to have for college gymnastics. She's getting ready for her third pass right here. Can tell that she has a lot of fun with this routine, always has a smile on her face. Beautiful front layout, 1.5 twist. You see a lot of college gymnasts finishing up with that pass. That was a great start for Maryland on floor.
Ashley Edlin on beam for the Hawkeyes.
Handspring layout series. You could see she swung that foot forward a little, so that will be a 10th deduction. Interesting jump combination there. It's like she fell forward on a pretty big bobble. They could take up to 3/10 on something like that.
And Edlin has been one of those on the Hawkeye squad that has been rotated in and out of the starting lineup so far. She's started on beam against Northern Illinois and floor and beam against Ohio State. But the Hawkeyes lineup certainly has shuffled more so far this season than the Terps.
Gearing up for her dismount here. A round off 1.5 twist. Small hop forward, but she looks like she's pretty happy with that routine.
Now it'll be Megan McClellan, the freshman from Rock Hill, South Carolina, on floor for the Terrapins.
Megan is a very graceful dancer, and her music definitely plays to that. Here she goes on her first pass. A round off double pike. Chest a little low on the landing, but she pulls it around. In her second pass, a punch layout full. That was a nice connection. Can see she's really showing this routine off with her smile, as she always has her chin up. And her final third pass, a 1.5 punch layout. Little short on that landing, but that was a pretty good routine for Megan. Looks like the crowd is excited about that one.
Now for Iowa on beam, it'll be Johanny Sotillo from Venezuela. She competed on the Venezuela national team and had to sit out a year subsequent at Iowa and then missed a year from injury. So this is really just her second year of competition, as she is now a graduate student.
That was a nice handspring layout series there. Can tell that she definitely has some elite experience from being on that national team. Little wobble forward there, but she covered that up very nicely. She has some very nice dance in this routine, really showing it off.
Of course, fans here at Xfinity Center are well familiar with this song, a feature of Maryland basketball.
Yes, it looks like she's actually hearing the music and she's smiling a little bit there. Small bobble forward. Only thing left is her dismount. Here she goes, punch layout full. Beautiful landing there, small hop forward, but that was a pretty good routine.
Her teammates certainly seem to like it, as we send it back to the floor, and Emily Brockmuller.
Here goes Emily with her first pass. A round off back handspring double pike. Little low on the landing, but you see that she picks her chest right up after. Here she goes on her second pass, a double tuck. Beautiful landing on that. You could see that her chest was really high up when her feet hit the ground. Can see how well her dance moves are choreographed to the music. She's really hitting those beats. Smiling at her teammates over there. Getting ready for her third pass. A round off 1.5 punch layout. Little short there. That's a little uncharacteristic for her, but she covered it up pretty well.
So now it's Angel Metcalf on beam for the Hawkeyes. They finish beam the same way they finish floor, with Metcalf, Drenth, and Glover.
You can see that those three girls are really key to Iowa's lineups. Beautiful switch leap there. You can tell that she really has a lot of confidence in this beam routine with her dance moves. She's really showing it off well. Setting up for her series. Unfortunately, she fell on that. She did not get to the flight element either, so she will either have to repeat that, or looks like she's gonna repeat it here. Now she needed to repeat that because that is a required skill element in a beam routine, so she will get a deduction for the fall, but she will still get the connection.
And you mentioned the challenge of finishing on beam, that elements of having to improvise as you go. As she lands that nicely, is certainly part of that.
Definitely, you can tell she's a little frustrated with that, but hopefully Iowa can leave that one in the past and get back on track.
So now on floor for Maryland, Abby Epperson.
This is Abby's first year competing on floor. She starts with a front double full twist. That is an E element. It's great to see gymnasts putting out those harder difficulty tumbling passes. Showing off her flexibility there. Getting ready for her second pass. A 1.5 punch layout. Could tell that she's very calm and controlled in this routine.
And the music certainly matches that.
Definitely. That's what we were talking about before, how the floor music is generally matched to the gymnast personality. Can definitely see that in this floor routine. It's a very graceful routine. Now her third and final pass. A front layout Rudy. Beautiful landing there. Can see that she used a mat, maybe for her ankles or possibly that knee. That is no deduction. You are allowed to do that in gymnastics.
And that's just adding a little bit of cushion.
A little bit of extra cushion for those lower body parts.
So now it's Molly Drenth.
Really showing off her strength there in the beginning of her beam routine. So she just did a back handspring layout, step out, connected to another layout, step out. That is extremely difficult. She does 2 flight elements in a row, and that is a triple series. She's a beautiful beam worker, very confident in her dance moves and her skills. Had a little bobble there on that full turn. Surprisingly, that's a pretty difficult skill for gymnasts on beam. Gorgeous stuck landing there. That's a solid routine to bring them back for that fall. They're very excited about that.
Yeah, like you said, just slipped a little bit on that foot turn, but other than that, just incredibly difficult routine that she made look easy.
Definitely. I would say that would be the only deduction there.
Macy Roberts now for the Terps on floor.
Macy has a really fun and energetic routine here. Nice double pike. Little forward on the landing, but really picked her chest up at the end and sold it off. That was a pretty difficult combination pass there, a front layout into a front Rudy. Macy has a lot of power and energy in her tumbling as well as in her dance choreography. You can see her smiling throughout her routine here. Looks like she's having a good time.
And you can see the encouragement from her teammates as well.
That's definitely key to the last pass. That was a beautiful connection pass there. She did a back 1.5 to a front layout half into a stag jump. It's really great to see some strong connections like that, especially in the last pass.
Big time finish there for Roberts. And now we head back to the beam. And Allie Glover.
Now there is some pressure on Allie Glover here because they already had one gymnast fall, and you count 5 out of 6 scores, so it is pretty essential that she hits this routine here so Iowa doesn't have to count a fall.
So opposite Maryland, where the fall came on that 6th go-around, the pressure is on for the Hawkeyes.
And that's the reason why she's in this anchor spot, is because she can handle that pressure and be in these situations.
The
Beautiful handspring layout.
senior from Destin, Florida. And one of 3 named to that 2015 All-Championship team.
That was a good save right there. Her right foot was actually a little bit off the beam, but she pulled it up and stayed on. You can see that she's really in the zone here. She knows what she has to do for her teammates. There she goes for her dismount. Front full, stuck landing, and that's why she's in that anchor spot.
Well done by Allie Glover. And now we send it back to the senior in the anchor position from Maryland. Kathy Tang will wrap things up on the floor.
Kathy is a very strong floor competitor. Here's her first pass, a round off back handspring double full punch back layout. That's something you don't usually see. It's great to see some difference in tumbling passes. Can see her teammates cheering her on there as she goes into her second pass. Front handspring, front layout punch Rudy. That's a very difficult connection. That's why she's in this anchor position, because her tumbling passes are a little bit harder. Setting up for her last pass. Round off egg handspring double pike. Couple steps backwards, but she saves it.
Completing an exhibition on the beam for Iowa, Nikki Yao.
So now an exhibition for Iowa on the beam.
No pressure on this routine, just getting some practice here. Front layout there.
This is Nikki Yaud from Panama City, Florida.
Fortunately, she fell on that series there. She didn't quite have enough rotation to make it all the way around, but this is just a practice routine, and that's why she's out there. Nice jump combination there, a split full. Here she goes for her dismount. That was a pretty good finish for that routine. It's really difficult to get back on the beam after you've fallen and finish that routine, and she did a pretty good job with it.
She started the first 4 matches for the Hawkeyes before being taken out of the starting lineup. The last match against Ohio State.
This is an exhibition routine for Maryland. This is Amanda Bertarello. We saw her in the bar lineup. Gorgeous double pike there. You can see her chest was high up on the landing and her feet did not move. Now going for her second pass. Double tuck, again a gorgeous landing. She really gets some good height on those double salto passes. Can see her teammates there doing her routine with her, encouraging her for her last pass. Front, ooh. That was a bit of a mishap. Looks like she just didn't quite have enough energy to finish that. She looks okay though. Luckily she's in an exhibition spot, so this routine will not count for the team score.
She's got one ankle wrapped, and it looks like she may have rolled another there on that pass.
That's a shame. That was a beautiful routine.
She's holding that left knee now. Certainly don't want someone getting hurt, but especially not in an exhibition routine.
Amanda was really fighting her way into that lineup, so I hope she's okay.
So Epperson and Roberts both scored over a 9.8 on the floor. It's been announced. And while we have a moment, take a look at some of these match highlights. Drenth and Glover, both 9.85 on the beam for the Hawkeyes. And for Maryland, wow, Roberts with a 9-9 on the floor, outdoing Epperson's 9.85.
That is a career high for the freshman Macy Roberts.
So you said Maryland really likes to have that finish on the floor, and their scores certainly indicate that that is an advantage.
Definitely, they had a couple girls that were later in the lineup that hit some big scores for them.
Welcome back to the Xfinity Center. The results are in from Maryland's home opener in the Big Ten. And the Terps were edged by the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa putting up a score of 196.275. The Terps right behind them with a score of 195.50. Nikki, final thoughts from you.
Both teams did a really great job tonight, and both of those scores are really great team scores to go into their standings, and hopefully both of these teams move up in the ranks this week.
I believe those are the highest scores of the season for both teams thus far, so a really great performance from both sides. So for our entire crew here at BTN Plus, and for my partner Nikki Dragon, I'm Matt Present saying so long from College Park, and we'll leave you with the rest of these highlights and the individual ceremony as well. Thanks for watching this special presentation of the Pink Meet on BTN Plus.
Sunday, February 14th.